Everybody, so we got some JoJo news that I just found out the other day, and I really want to make a video about it. On screen, you are currently seeing the cover for Crazy Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak, which is a spin-off set within the original JoJo continuity that takes place between the third and fourth parts of the series, and kind of answers what happened to characters such as Whole Horse, who were, I wouldn't say minor characters, but I guess minor character, would be it. They're minor characters from Part 3 that were essentially just the weekly stand users that the Crusaders would face on their journey towards Dio. And Whole Horse is notable because he had several appearances, and on top of that, the original plan for Part 3 was actually for him to join the Crusaders and fight against Dio. Ultimately, that got scrapped because Araki felt like the stand he had was kind of too overpowered and couldn't figure out ways of making it work. So, that kind of sucks, but hey, we do kind of get Whole Horse here in a protagonist role. So, this is Josuke Higashikata, and the reason why he's featured in this is because after Part 3 ended, Whole Horse and a few other stand users from Part 3 escaped to Morio, the city where Josuke is from. So this obviously is kind of a prequel to Part 4 and features a few Part 4 characters, and even mentions a few. So, Josuke here is really cool because we kind of get to see how he already knew what Crazy Diamond was. Because in Part 4, it was never really explained how Josuke knew what a stand was or why he already named his stand. He just had it. And this kind of gives us more of an explanation into it. And it just gives us a bit of a precursor to understanding who he was. And then there's Whole Horse here, who's obviously much older than his last depiction in Part 3. One thing you'll notice is he has multiple watches, because in his last major appearance in Stardust Crusaders, he was very obsessed with time, because he was trying to kill the Crusaders at a certain time because of another stand predicting that one of the Crusaders would die at that time. It backfired, but still, it was really funny, and if you've seen Part 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I sound like an insane person. But one interesting thing is that due to the time period this is set in, and the fact that it does deal with a bunch of Part 3 leftovers and a bunch of Part 4 stuff, is we find out that one of the Crusaders had a family in Morio. Kakyoin, who was the stand user of Hierophant Green, and was a main character in Part 3, and this is his cousin, Ryoko, I think is how you say her name. I'm not really sure. That's how I'm gonna say it. If I'm wrong, please link me to some sort of place that tells me the proper way of pronouncing her name. But she is Kakyoin's cousin. And this really is cool because it gives much more depth to a character that's already a fan favorite. So, yeah. Now, originally in Japan, it was released across 16 chapters and spread across 3 volumes. You've already seen the cover for the first one. Here's the cover of the second one. And here's the cover of the third one. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because Viz announced a few months ago that they're actually translating this, and the pre-orders for it are likely coming out very soon, within the next month or two. And based off their past releases, this very well could be a all-in-one, like all 16 chapters, like here. This is Volume 1 of Battle Tendencies English translation. I own this. It has 16 chapters in it. And I think it's going to be very similar to this. But the question is, what cover will they use? Personally, if they don't commission new art, I expect them to use this one with a few alterations, like obviously putting the logo into English and translating Crazy Diamond from Shining Diamond, because here in America, Crazy Diamond is actually copyrighted thanks to the Prince song. So they put Shining Diamond in all the official English releases, so that way they don't get sued. So it's very likely going to be released as Shining Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak here in America, which is fine. I'm not complaining. And you can totally just pretend Shining Diamond to misprint and just keep saying Crazy Diamond like I do. But yeah, this is honestly really cool, and I'm really excited, especially because I liked a lot of aspects of part 4, and getting to see more of Morio would be really nice. And on top of that, we get to find out again what happened to a bunch of part 3 stand users. It's not just Soul Horse, it's the Oingo Boingo brothers, it's blanking on like the other stand users from part 3, but we get to kind of figure out what happened to them, and it also has appearances from other characters like Kakyoin, and mentions the Crusaders and all this stuff. Obviously, all that's flashbacks because some of those characters have passed away, or if you've seen the story, why other characters won't be in there, like Jotaro. But it's really cool, and I think it's going to be something relatively unique, especially because this is, to my knowledge, the first true JoJo spinoff not written by Araki to be translated, because the only other JoJo spinoff we have is the Spoke Rohan Kishibe translated into English. I bought volume 1, I still need to buy volume 2, but that's not important. What it is that's an Araki work, so it was kind of expected for that to be brung over. But this isn't written by Araki. None of the 16 chapters were. Neither of the none of this was written by Araki. I'm sure it had his insight, but it didn't have his direct input. So, thusly, I think it's really neat that we're actually getting this, and it opens the door to a bunch more things like the novels and some of the other spin-offs that aren't written by Araki. Like, I know there's a Part 6 spin-off centered around a new stand user and Jolene, which would be really nice. Also, I know there's one that follows Lisa from Part 2 and talks about her encounters with stand users throughout the 70s, which is really interesting because she's a character back from all the way in Part 1 and 2, so thus putting her into a spot thusly putting her into a spin-off that takes place basically from around the time Stardust Crusaders happens to God knows when the story ends. I haven't read it, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, but this does kind of raise a concern, and that being that, what about the other 3 parts of JoJo? Steel Ball Run, JoJolion, and the JoJo Lands. Currently, those have no plans for translations, to my knowledge, and yet we're getting spin-offs. Typically, if a series isn't ongoing, like Steel Ball Run is already complete, JoJolion is already complete, they'll translate them before bringing over spin-offs. But in this case, I guess not. Like the My Hero Academia series, that's currently publishing, but its spin-off also got a translation, just due to the way things release. But anyways, that aside, I'm still super excited for this, but it does give me a bit of concern about where exactly this franchise is heading towards its English releases, especially because we are over a quarter of the way done with 24 so far, and we still have gotten zero news about a possible Steel Ball Run anime, which is a bit concerning because they definitely would have announced it by now. But hey, we still got another 6 months, I think. I'm not keeping track of time right now, but I'm still saying we still got time. So yeah, and if you have read this before the English translation, via fan translations and stuff like that, let me know what you thought about the series down below. Please keep it spoiler free because I haven't read it, so I don't know anything that happens in it. I just know these few little things about it from reading the Wikipedia page. But yeah, so I will see you all next time.